Welcome to In With the Podcast, where we let go of stuff that's no longer helpful and we make space for what really matters. Out with the old, in with you. Oh, my microphone feels very loud right now. Is it too loud? I'm going to just try that again. I'm trying it again. Okay. Welcome to In With the Podcast, where we let go of stuff that's no longer helpful and we make space for what really matters. Out with the old, in with you. What's up? I am Jenna. I help you choose your whole, wonderful, beautiful self. And what better way and what better time to choose your whole self than the new year? How's your new year? How's it going? How was your New Year's Eve? Did you stay up? Did you stay up till midnight? I sure did not stay up till midnight. I took myself out for a lovely dinner. I sat at a bar and enjoyed some beverages and some food and made friends with the strangers who were sitting there as well. So I had a lovely evening of meeting new people, enjoying delicious food, doing some writing, walking around, and being in bed. Being in bed by like 10:30. Charlie and I ate some cake in bed, and I fell asleep. And it was incredible. And I hope that you also had an incredible New Year's Eve as well. Did you watch Stranger Things? Have we talked about this? It's a whole other thing. It's a whole other episode. In fact, it might be a little bit of a whole other episode as you prepare for some future episodes of this podcast. In the next few weeks, I've got some guests, and one of the guests I had on, we did some talking about Stranger Things. So whether or not you are a Stranger Things fan, you don't need any background or intel to enjoy our podcast. But I did finish Stranger Things, and I cried. I cried a whole lot. So that was another thing I did over this winter break. I had the best winter break. I'm just going to say that. I got to go to Wisconsin and spend time with my lovely family, and it was beautiful and fun, and we had a great time. Got to be in the snow, and it was just wonderful. And then came back here and had a week of a lot of quiet, a lot of antisocial behaviors, which felt really good. I think yesterday I said just a couple of words out loud to actual humans, and that was just like transactional things in a store and passing my neighbor walking by on the sidewalk. So it is really nice to have those times to be completely antisocial, because it was a really busy, really active, really peopley December. And I think the last time I talked to you, it was around the winter solstice, and hopefully you had some time to be quiet and to be introspective and to reflect and to participate in some sort of ritual where you're able to reflect and let things go and make space for what really matters, because the days are getting lighter, just incrementally, but holy moly, they are getting lighter as we speak. So whatever reflection you've done or not done here at the end of the year, I would love to hear about it. You know, one of the things I posted on New Year's Eve, which is something that you don't have to just do on New Year's Eve, but these are questions that I think can be really helpful as you're reflecting and preparing for the year ahead. You know, I think sometimes and you've probably seen this on social media, everyone's posting like all of their like amazing things that they did and achievements and accomplishments and all the really cool things. And yes, like how wonderful to celebrate those achievements. But I shared some questions on New Year's Eve that you could use with yourself and with other people to help you reflect on some of the internal wins, to help you understand your internal world a little bit more. So those questions, you can still use these questions because I do think that they will be illuminating as you're thinking about what you might want to prioritize in your new year. So those 3 questions, by the way, is number 1, in the previous year, what were you most proud of? What was something that you were proud of that other people might not even realize was something that was a big deal to you? And number 3, when did you feel most like yourself? When were the times when you felt most like yourself? So I did a little reflecting on those questions of myself. And one of the things I realized as I was writing this stuff down and capturing these notes, you know, the times that I think I felt most like myself, probably unsurprisingly to you, was when I was on my solo trips, when I took, my trip to Arizona and got to do a lot of hiking and a lot of just like being outdoors and being like really active and enjoying the beautiful nature. Another time I felt most like myself was another solo trip when I drove to Omaha to check out Maynard. I don't know if you are a Tool fan, but he had a tour to celebrate his birthday. He had a 60th birthday last year, but the tour was so awesome that they did it again this year. And I drove to Omaha and went to that concert by myself and just had the best time ever, just like enjoying music, being in like the community of being in a live performance. And of course, like some of my most favorite bands were playing, and it was just outstanding. So again, another solo trip is when I felt most like myself. And you can start to see some patterns. You can start to see some patterns when you're looking at the times when you most felt like yourself. The other times I felt most like myself is when I was being in like community with my most favorite people, whether it was one-on-one or in groups of people. I just felt like alive and connected. And these, unsurprisingly, when I looked at them, I'm like, oh yeah, like these are also some of my values about ditching the comfort zone, embracing genuine connection. Those times when we feel most like ourselves point to our values. So this is another opportunity. If you haven't yet done your values assessment or have not looked at, some of those things that really, really matter most to you, those things that fire you up, this is another opportunity to see them on paper. Those times when you feel most like yourself in the year, they likely point to one of your values. So look, whether you choose to actually write your values down in value statements or not, I don't really care if you do that. Like, I would love for you to do that, and I would love to help you with that. But more than anything, I want you to start seeing the common threads. They might turn into values at some point, but you're going to start to see the common threads of the things that really matter to you, the things that really fire you up, the things that make you feel most alive. Those are things to pay attention to, because those are things that you should be prioritizing here in the new year. And I started to do some of my, like new year stuff. And I'm not a resolution person, and I'm not like all about making big goals for myself, which isn't to say that I don't have things I want to pursue, because I absolutely do. Like, there's no shortage of things that I want to make sure happen in my life here in 2026. But I think I've talked to you about this before, and this is I don't even have it in front of me. I should have it in front of me. You know what? I'm gonna go grab it because I can. 1 second, hold please. Where'd everything go? Hey, what's up? I'm back. So one of the things, and I've talked about this before, like there are different ways of preparing for the new year. Maybe you do set goals, and if you do, awesome. I love that. If you have resolutions, also great. I am a huge proponent of doing whatever works for you. And if you are someone who's like, I don't want to plan anything, I just want to vibe and live my life, also great. But I want to share with you a practice that I have done for probably 6 years now, and it's been pretty darn illuminating for me, because it has switched my perspective of, for me being like a lifelong high achiever and trying to untangle myself from this trappings of always doing and always achieving and always accomplishing and like beating my personal best. Changing that perspective from that doing perspective and achieving perspective to one of more of really paying attention to how I am being in the world, how I'm feeling, and what kind of feeling I'm cultivating as I'm pursuing my goals. So it's less about the metrics and hitting numbers and crushing my goals, and it's more about like, okay, well, do those goals actually line up with how deep down I know I want to feel and how I want to be and how I want to show up in the world? So it's a slight distinction where you're changing the lens from an external metric-based lens to more of an internal, hey, is this actually the right choice for me? Like, is this aligning with who I want to be? Or am I doing this because I feel like this external need and like comparing myself and needing to beat myself and my goals of last year? which again, no judgment if that's for you, but I learned that I feel better when my goals or not my goals, but like I have a focus of how do I want to feel? And this is the book I wanted to show you, The Desire Map by Danielle Laporte. And it is an exceptional practice that really, it walks you through like a ton of questions. But most notably, it walks you through the different buckets of your life and asks you some questions like, hey, in this area of your life of work, what are you most grateful for? And why is that important to you? And then conversely, like what's not working in that area of your life? And, what kind of dissatisfaction might that be creating? Anyway, I went through this practice through all the different buckets of my life and went through a whole bunch of words of how I want to be feeling in all of those areas of my life. And then you just sort of narrow them down, redefine them, name them different things until you come down to what in the book she calls your core desired feelings. And those core desired feelings are what you can use to really be the filter for the choices you make throughout your year. And these only have to make sense to you. Like you're the one who knows if you're feeling that way. So I have done this practice, like I said, a number of times. There was one year, 2021, which was a really pivotal year where I focused so clearly on these core desired feelings. And I only made choices that were aligned to get me closer to that feeling. And let me tell you, it was a pivotal year in all areas of my life. Like there were some pretty significant shifts that happen when you're focused less on external stuff and more focused on your internal wins. Am I feeling the way that deep down I know I desire to be feeling? And so I say all that because I went through this practice and I spent all day yesterday when I didn't talk to any humans. And I spent the day going through this and came up with my core desired feelings. And I feel like reluctant to share them because I do like to keep some things just like a little reverent. Shocking probably to some of you to think like, oh, Jenna's keeping some things from us. One thing I will share with you that I thought was interesting in all of the areas of my life, one of the things that came up of how I want to be feeling or something that's missing that I'm really desiring more of is consistency and discipline. I feel like those are two feelings, the feeling of being disciplined, the feeling of being consistent. Those things feel missing in all of the areas of my life. But the idea of discipline feels like really rigid and strict and doesn't feel playful or joyful for me. And I want to create some consistency and discipline in my life that feels more like me. And as I was exploring those words of consistency and discipline and whatever, one of the things I realized was missing was sort of like ritual around my consistency in my writing, ritual in my consistency around cooking actual nutrition that doesn't just come from my air fryer, which you can make a lot of really nutritious things in the air fryer. Let me just be clear, but like convenience type of food. Like I want some more ritual around my cooking, around my nutrition, my exercise, my writing, my things like that. And when I reframed it as I want to feel more ritualistic rather than feeling disciplined, it just felt lighter. And so I say that because like some of these words, the essence of the word is there, but we can find a feeling that feels more, it just feels better to us and it feels more natural to us. And so that is one that I'm playing around with is what does it look like to be more ritualistic in these different areas of my life? And how do I do that? And so the specialness of ritual makes me excited to do some of these things that otherwise I'd be like, no, Jenna, just sit down and be disciplined and do the thing. So the ritual though, just sounds softer, right? Like it makes you want to like make a cup of tea or just like pour a glass of wine or just like sit outside about it. So that is one of the feelings that I am working to cultivate more of in the year ahead. So again, Desire Map, I will link this in the episode notes. So yeah, that was a practice I went through, and it was pretty powerful. So another thing I do want to share, and I'm not going to share like tons about it because again, I do like to have some reference around things, but I want to share this because it has been maybe one of the most powerful tools for me in 2025 in terms of me getting closer to how I want to feel, me getting closer to confidence and self trust. And for those of you who have done like a lot of therapy in your life and you feel like there are like additional layers of things that you can't quite break through, but you want to, and you can see it there, and you like there's something there. I had some of that. Like I had some of these just like barriers that I felt like I couldn't entirely. They were just felt like a little insurmountable. And I had a couple of friends who had gone through ketamine assisted psychotherapy, which is something that's becoming more and more common. And there's lots of research around this. And, this is a common therapy that people are using. And it sounded really interesting to me just in terms of its ability to get you past some of those things that feel insurmountable. And so, after some conversations with my therapist and my people who had gone through it, I had an intake assessment with a therapist in town who is really well known for doing ketamine assisted psychotherapy. And she was like, heck yeah, I think this could be a really incredible tool for you to get closer to some of your inner wisdom that you might not be able to get to. And so I did it once in September, and I did it again here at the turn of the new year, just as an opportunity for me to just to see, just to see. So like, let me explain a little bit about what it is. So if you don't know, ketamine is it's like technically used as a psychedelic, but also as like a tranquilizer for for medical reasons. So in the right doses, and under the supervision of a trained professional, it is a really powerful therapeutic tool, especially for people who are processing trauma or having some other like mental health issues that other traditional therapies might not be able to treat as effectively. And so it's a process, man. Like it's like you hunker down and you're in there for a few hours going through this process of this therapy. And it is pretty illuminating in terms of what you're able to experience in this level of consciousness. And then you come out of it, you're able to do a lot of integration in the office with the therapist, but then a lot of like post session integration as well. Integration just basically means like taking what you learned from your experience and then processing and reflecting on, okay, how do I take this into my everyday life? And so the cool thing about this medicine is that it's pretty dissociative, which is also like the scary thing about this medicine too, where you are, it really kind of detaches you from your identity. You are no longer the main character in your life. You are just observing. And through that observation and through being detached, you're able to see things so objectively that it almost becomes like the best word I can use is just comical how simply like frivolous some of the things that we attach so much meaning to, how much they don't matter. It's not that they don't matter, but like the attachment, the intensity of attachment that we feel to some of these things that are causing us discomfort and anxiety, for me, at least my experience is that just kind of has dissipated. And what a freeing feeling it is to feel less attached to these things that feel like they're supposed to be so important. And I'm not going to get into all of it because again, like I do want to like keep some of it private to myself. But I will say that this most recent experience, one of the main themes that I heard, and this is something that I have then pulled into my like feelings of how I want to feel in the year, the core theme of my most recent session was about me just getting so grounded. And when I'm in my first session, one of the things I noticed is I was like trying to control it. And I'm like, am I okay? Should I be worried? Like, what's going on? And like this little voice in my head, you don't have to control this, Jenna. And so I took that to heart in the second session. And I'm like, Jenna, you do not have to control this. You just need to be. You just need to be. And I just let myself be in the situation, trusting that everything was going to be okay, even though like everything was a little chaotic in my level of consciousness that I was in. And eventually I got to this place where like everything like just started folding in on itself. And I just got into this little compact little block of myself. And I ended up actually having this vision too of a friend who was kind of like face down on a concrete block with his cheek down on the block. And he's like, hey, don't be scared. Like, we're good. And so there was this visual of being at the ground level, being this compact block all the way down at the ground level. And I was not scared. I felt really trusting. I felt really excited. And what I realized through that whole process is that I know myself really well at the ground level. The work that I have done to discover my values, to know how I want to feel, to trust myself, to understand what I like and what I don't like and what I deserve and how I like all of this stuff, all of this work that I've done. What this session showed me was like, girl, you're good. Like, you know your ground level really, really well, and you can trust the shit out of it. And now you just get to build your whole self on top of that. And so this feeling of groundedness and being like getting in at the ground level with yourself, knowing yourself at this foundational level, like, and trusting that was really powerful for me. And one of my biggest takeaways is like, I have just boatloads of self-trust. And I can't say that in like a year or two ago that I would have been able to say that. The work that we do at our ground level helps us be better leaders, helps us be better partners, better siblings, better friends, better everything, better with ourselves. I can't tell you like how many times in life I just felt so stuck and I was just agonizing and like comparing myself. And I'm not saying that like all of that is gone, because like I'm still a human person and there's some of that there. But the level of trust that I have in knowing that whatever step I take is going to be my next step. It doesn't matter if it's right or wrong, but it's the right one for me to get me to where I want to go next. So trusting that ground level is another one of the feelings I want to cultivate. And I've been thinking a lot about what it means to get in at the ground level. And I want to explore this concept because this is something that I help people with. Like, I help you discover your values and your passions and these things and these quirks and like these things that you love about yourself and the things that make you feel most like yourself. Like, the more that you can name those, the more clarity you have on those, the more confidence you have, the more trust you have, the better you are at investing your time and energy into the things that actually matter to you, that are actually in alignment with you. You're not spending your time and energy on bullshit and with people who treat you like junk or like don't respect you, or like you get to choose. You get to choose. And again, knowing yourself at the ground level is going to make the ease of choosing way smoother for you. So that is an area of focus for me. Of what does it mean to get in at the ground level? Getting so good at your foundational ground level, feeling so trusting that you can then just build your whole self on top of that to be your like best frickin' self you can be. So I don't know, maybe it's just me being like on ketamine and feeling like it's really profound, but I do believe that there is so much power that comes from knowing yourself and then having the trust and confidence to move forward from there. So that's a little bit about my new year. And I do have more work to do on my core desired feelings here. But I'm really excited for this year. I've got some really fun plans. My sister and I've got some fun plans. So if you like to follow my sister and I on the IG, now's the time. Now's the time to follow us because we've got some fun things coming up on the horizon that I do not want you to miss. And what else? What else have I watched? Stranger Things. I've been listening to a lot of books. My mother has given me a giant list of books that I should read. And when I say read, I mean listen to. And I have listened to like 4 books in the past week. So I've been mostly listening to books, doing puzzles, watching stuff. It's movie season. I like to see all of the movies that are nominated for awards. I saw Hamnet this weekend and cried a lot. And I think it was like by design that they just want to make you cry. So be prepared for that, but highly recommend. It was a beautiful film. So yeah, I'm just in my space of films and puzzles and hunkering a little bit and feeling the ways I want to feel. So creating some rituals and really exploring what it means to be in at the ground level. So if this sounds interesting to you, if it sounds exciting to you to really get clear on what it means for you to get in at your ground level, let me know because I'm going to be building some stuff. I've got some workshops coming up and I would love to share those with you. So please do follow me on the places, Instagram, LinkedIn, like, follow, rate, review the podcast, and, take a moment and name 1 or 2 ways that you want to feel in the year ahead. Imagine it's a year from now and you look back. What are the words that you want to use to describe how you felt in 2026? So use this as an opportunity to talk with a friend about how they want to feel. Use those New Year's Eve questions. You can use those questions at any darn time with people. It doesn't have to be New Year's Eve. So you share this episode, reach out to me. What else? I think that's it. So until next time, pals, keep making room for what really matters. Out with the old, in with the you.